Hello everybody and welcome to Indonesia. Today's flight is going to be a 597 nautical mile flight from Sentani Airport, Whiskey Alpha Juliet Juliet, to Domine Eduard Osok Airport, also known as Sorong. And the airport code for that one is Whiskey Alpha Sierra Sierra. Now, as we can see, I have already set up the aircraft. We have already had a pushback, and oh, the other down. That is us down there. So we have done pre-flight checking. For some reason my yoke is however unresponsive right now. Let's see what it does. Left to right is not responding. That could be a problem. Up and down is working. Everything is working except left to right. Yeah, that is obviously a problem in aviation. Oh, now we seem to be back. Everywhere except for in here. Okay, well, that's just a graphics problem. Going to pop up a few windows on the other screen. Let's release the parking brake and get going. Now we are going to taxi out the runway, take off, make a 180, and then we are going. Let's do it! Here we go. By the way, our altitude today is going to be 8,000. And I do believe I missed something while setting up. Transponder code is going to be 1200, not 7000, because we're not in the United States. Here we go. Now we are set up. And judging by the windsock, wind is coming from our right, so we may be blown off course somewhat. Now there is no ATC in the area, there is no other traffic in the area. Well, there is always the possibility of virtual traffic, but I don't have any reason to believe anybody is in the area. Let's make a turn, line up and get going. By the way, because there is no ATC online, we are on the VatSim network. Our frequency for the radio is 122.8, of course. So that if there is any other traffic in the area, we can at least hear them. Let's go! Flaps to max. Oh, let's stay in the area of the center line. And we are airborne. Pull up the flaps. Autopilot is complaining that we are in the wrong direction. But I'm leaning towards thinking that it is the autopilot who is incorrect because it is not yet activated. Minimums. Let's get some altitude going. Uh-oh. When you try to get to the autopilot, it beeps, indicating there is a problem. And if it doesn't work, yeah, this is going to be a very long flight. And there's definitely a problem. I'm fighting here to keep the aircraft in the air. Oh boy. I'm pulling back all the way. And nothing is happening. Okay, so we're not going to do this. I'm going to reboot the simulator. And then we're going to retry this. Why? Because I would love to fly this leg, but with a functioning aircraft, please. And currently it is pulling on my yoke like you wouldn't believe it. Wow. Haven't seen this one in a while. Hoping it's just a simple bug. Oh, come on. This here's crazy.
500.
No shade. So, Not sure what they did to my aircraft in my absence, but I'm definitely rebooting this one. I'm just glad that we made it out. Alright. That is barely responding. Gonna park it right here. And we are going to restart this. Let's see how we are looking right now. Stuff in here seems to work. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and think that that has solved the problem. So let's get going. Pushing back already, manually of course. That'll do. Let's fire up the engine.
TOS system test. Okay.
Well, thank you for that. Now let's go. Our code again, 1200. Let's put it on. Reset the radio to 122.8. And our altitude to 8000. Alright, here we go again. Still nobody in the area. Yeah, this already feels a lot more different. And since we don't need to use the entire length of the runway, we're going to take a left here. Just because we can. Flap set to max. Let's get going. This is already a lot smoother. Here we go. So, again, yeah, we are at Sentani and going to Domine Eduard Osok Airport, also known as Saron. We have to reboot the simulator because of trouble with the handling of the aircraft and the GPS. I think it's got a couple gremlins in it. So as soon as we get to Domine Eduard Osok, we are going to have that checked out by some techies. Now, this is roughly where we knew in attempt number 1 that we were going to be in a world of hurt. And to be honest, I'm not sure we're out of the herd. Climbing at 75 knots, which is good. Engine is now not as over revving as it was before either. So guessing we met a gremlin in attempt number 1. That is a lot nicer, isn't it? When flying an aircraft, I am a big fan of responsive controls. Now let's have a look around. Still lower than the mountains, higher than the seas. But we'll climb out of there. Wind is shaking us around a little bit, but nothing we haven't seen yet. Now when you're expecting trouble with the GPS or having trouble with the GPS, always press the heading bug so that it jumps to the direction where you're going. Why? Because if it suddenly fails, well then you can sort of figure out where you want to go. So should it fail right now, we got 111.3 nautical miles to go to Gukir. And that is the first waypoint, where we'll make a bit of a turn. That is stunning scenery, isn't it? Bit of turbulence, but nothing to worry about just yet. Coming up to 5,000, so time to lean the mixture a little bit. And why is that? Well, easy. The higher you go, the thinner the air becomes. So if you don't lean the mixture, you're going to smother the engine and you crash, burn and die. Yeah, that. Speaking of the engine, let's have a look. 2500 RPM, nothing new when you're climbing. Fuel flow is in the green, pressure good, temperature good, exhaust gas temperature high because we're climbing. Vacuum is in the green where you like it. We got a lot of fuel. Not as much as I was expecting, so let's keep our eye on that. We may have to land and get more fuel or cheat. Either one. Let me know what you think. That does look nice, doesn't it? Wait, aren't these the Indonesian rainforests? It could very well be. A lot of forest down there. Coming up to the altitude of 7,000. So only 1,000 more to go to get our cruising altitude. Coming up to the cruising altitude. Reaching the alt that we need. So let's throttle back a little bit. 2340 RPM. That is a bit of the sweet spot, kind of where you want to be. Doesn't really matter if it's a little bit off. Shouldn't be that much either. So just a hair more back. That'll do. If you're afraid of heights, look away now. That right there is 100 meters of cliff. Yeah, we were lucky spotting that. So, right now we have 549.4 nautical miles left to do, and our ETA will be 1659 Zulu, aka flipping long flight for YouTube. We may have to do something about that. Let's have a look. We are following the coastline for a good bit. Then going inland, a bit more sea to the island with the waypoint Seru. Then a waypoint that the French will get a kick out of. And if I translate merde, yeah, it basically means fuck. Kind of like how this trip started. Then on to Godet, IMAS, and as we can see when we zoom in, our line does not really match up with the direction of the airport. Why not? It has no ILS, it has no functional aids, it has basically nothing, so we are going to go in VFR today. But how about we do a little bit of a time lapse? That could prevent extreme boredom, even though the area here is beautiful. Alright, let's get in here, because if I speed up the time and something goes wrong, well then it goes wrong 5 times as fast. Aye. So you better want to be in here. It is eerily shaking, and the fans in my computer case are really revving up. Not sure if you guys can hear that. But compared to a A320neo, we are about the same speed as it would do at this altitude. Whoa, 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 whoa. Where you going, aircraft? What are you doing? It is trying to get back on course, but because we sped up time, that is just not happening, is it? Slow down, boy. Get back on course and then we'll resume speed. Now that's a lot better, isn't it? There we go. 5 times again. Yeah, that's what I meant, because when you get blown off course for whatever reason, the computer needs to calculate the new route and then has to do it. But because 5 times faster is a lot faster than the computer expects it to be, it is not even able to start turning at the right time. Speaking of which, when we get to Gukir, the upcoming waypoint, there is a bit of a bend in the route, a turn if you like. So, going to stop the speed of time and let him do that in peace. That is now 13.2 nautical miles away, which is not a bad thing. Oh wait, let's get that text away because we're now at normal speed. Haha. That river down there, now that does seem similar to what I've seen in the Amazon River, South America. For those that are curious, I've flown a watered plane similar to a Cessna 172. The entire length of the Amazon. Every bend, every turn, everything is in there. So that was pretty crazy. And the route looked something like this. Seeing the sharp corners in the river, I do believe somebody needs to rescan this area. It's very seldom for rivers to have sharp bends, that many, in a natural flowing river. A little over 10 miles to go to Gukir. And that next waypoint is a long way away, Seru. And the one after that is also a long way away. But okay, it is what it is. almost there. It's just 6.9 miles away. Let's have a look at the engine. That is running beautifully right now. Fuel flow in the green, right in the middle where you want it. Pressure of the oil is great. The temperature smooth. Exhaust gas temperature is a little higher than expected, but then again it is 13 degrees outside. Still nothing to worry about. The vacuum, because we're running high speed and low rev, not to worry about. The amount of fuel, that is worrisome. Seriously hope we do make it. 1.7 nautical miles, 1.6 now to Gukir. Here we go. Now this here is something that the GPS would not have been able to do at higher speed. So the next waypoint, Seru, 150.7 nautical miles. Guess you guys know where this is going. Five times the speed. But I guess you guys don't want to see a shaky aircraft constantly. Let's do it like this, or better even like this. That'll give us the view and not so much the shaky bits. So what we're looking at right now is a whole lot of forest followed by a whole lot of sea. And that's why we sped up. There's no followers, there's no other aircraft in the area, at least on the VatSim network. Basically there's a whole bunch of nothing at all, and that is why we sped up. And we have a responder, Vashita Kirden 05 says, hello. Hope I didn't butcher your name. How are you doing, sir? Or Sirette? Can't make that out from the name. Hi. That is a lot of shaky bits. Hope the rivets hold up. Yeah, nobody wants to look at that all the time. Nor that. So let's get back to this view. Don't get me wrong, I love Indonesia. It's got the greatest forests ever. But when you are looking at them from above, not being able to wander around or hear or sees anything of the surroundings on the ground, Yeah, after an hour or 5 or 6, you may get bored. So, yeah, that. I can imagine that other people are also not going to want to see this in real time for the upcoming 5 hours. And so yeah, here we are. Let's look inside. No, the other inside. This one, yeah. So many buttons, so little time to choose. So in a matter of minutes we done roughly 30 miles. A little over even. Not sure if you've seen the previous video, but we had a follower of the channel in that video. He flew with us in a A320neo, when suddenly I sped up time as well and overtook the A320neo in flight with a Cessna 172. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'll be right back, folks. And we're back, still doing great. Speaking of great, let's have a look at the engine. We're slightly higher than expected, could be because we're over water. Everything else looks marvelous, but I'm getting slightly worried about the fuel capacity on this trip. Now a Boeing 738 is way out here with the old man. Let's see if we can overtake him as well. Or maybe he's the guy over here. In which case there's no overtaking to be done, there's just yeah, fair near miss. just noticed I wasn't on the correct frequency. But when we're looking at all this around us, very pretty, and every single tree gets rendered by the GPU, which now has to work 5 times as hard to render everything that we see. So I'm pretty convinced that after this flight it is going to need a vacation. And I'm guessing that the old man has paused his simulator. He's very static. "78 miles to go to Seru." Guessing the old man just took off her right here. Yeah, he barely moving. That is beautiful in there. And I'm pretty sure that he is static. Well done, old man. You made it into a YouTube video. Now, simply get online so I can talk to you. You can join the Discord, you can do basically whatever you like. You can type, you can talk, you can join. Everybody's a winner in this show. So now, from the edge of the water, we are jumping to a island, after which there's a little bit of sea, so yeah, let's enjoy that for a bit at least. So the next waypoint, Seru, is on the island. Here's the next bit of mainland. I mean, guessing that is considered mainland. Anyway, the Seru waypoint is somewhere over there. Now that island, that does look uninhabited, doesn't it? Make for a great holiday destination. "41 miles to go." And that is another point where we need to slow down time for a little bit because there's a bend in the route. All the way up to Merde. And I'm leaning towards keeping time at 100% for that leg, so I can keep fuck in French in screen the whole time, and YouTube cannot do anything about it because it is a legal waypoint. Yeah, let's start enjoying this in real time. Control R. Minus, 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 minus. And let's get rid of that speed thing. There we go. That looks calm and serene right there, doesn't it? Compared to the earlier clips. Liking it. Now when we look at the VatSim map, this is where we took off. This is where we're right now. This is where we're going. We are a long way from halfway, which is about at the tip of the island. Let's ask for the flight details. We have done 235, we have 327 to go. Okay, so that means I am starting to get worried about the fuel. we're using a lot more than anticipated. And in the Cessna 172, as soon as these needles hit the yellowy bit, the engine cuts off. So the last quarter of the tank is basically non-existent. Uh-oh. That could become a problem. We may even have to land glider status, especially because we do not yet know the conditions of the airport. We're flying in on an angle, we have to circle a little bit to line up, and then hopefully we land. That is, that we land in a way that we can still walk away from. Not on a stretcher, not with any flashing lights, not with any fire, not with any damage to my plane. And I hate it when somebody else scuffs my plane, but if I damage my own plane, yeah, that pisses me off. Coming up on Ceru. Old man still being static. "22 miles to Ceru." Is that correct? It does say that. 17 miles to go. So, almost at Ceru. Eleven miles to go. And a little bit, of course. And if you just joined us, the next waypoint after that is Merde. That should give the French viewers a bit of a tickle. 5.8 miles to go. And then we're turning. Almost at a turn. Three, two, one. Here we go. Now the turn itself, it is not very dramatic. But now it is 177.5 nautical miles to Merde. And if you just joined us, Merde should give the French viewers a bit of a tickle because of what it means in their language. Basically, for the foreseeable future, it is going to say fuck. And since this is a legal waypoint, YouTube cannot touch it. Ha! But we are going to speed up time again. And why? Because nobody really wants to look at the sea for the foreseeable future, now do you? So when it says fuck here and it says fuck here, is that then a double fuck? Or am I fucked? The skies are very calm. Remember when I sped up time earlier? The aircraft is so shaky you couldn't believe it. Uh-oh. Did you hear the aircraft beeping? Thought that sounded a little bit like a stall horn. Judging by this, we are not dying just yet. Oh, by the way, did you notice it says merde here? Engine looks great. Outside air temperature still 13 degrees, so we're good. No need for the pitot heat, which is off. Oh, look here, it says fuck right here, if you're French. Just occurred to me, because this waypoint is called this controversial name, and the multiple translations of that name in French, we're either going to shit or we're going to fuck. Leave a comment below if you can solve the riddle and you're a real francophone. Now, on the map you can see us starting to appear, so that is basically the end of the ocean? Guess it's the ocean. And we should see some land appear pretty soon. Yeah, we should be able to pass that. Look at it shaking. Now, after merde, we're going to go to Godet, Imas, and then figure out a way to get down. And again, that is going to be VFR. Making good progress here. And as I mentioned before, when there's a slight change in the route, obviously the computer cannot calculate that fast. And in about 3.5 nautical miles we are going to see that happening live. You can see it swerve from left to right, trying to find the right route. Now this one wasn't that bad. Earlier in the video we seen the aircraft getting blown off course and struggling to get back. So we had to slow down time back then, just to make sure we get to yeah, whatever translation you give to it. Anyway, on to Godet. We are, by the way, on the final island. Let's get the details at the ready. We have 132 nautical miles to go. Pretty good if you ask me. Now, even though I still love the joke, let's get the fuck out of the way. We have the airport nearly inside. Let's not land on the wrong one. Now at Godet we are going to be almost going straight ahead. And after Imas we need to descend rapidly and make sure we can get to the airport. The fuck is that? And hey, the Martin, how are you doing, sir? He asks, how long remains until you will travel around the world? Why are you five times faster? I mean, until you have the whole planet traveled in this plane. Good question. Let me pull up a sheet here. Whoosh. This is the original sheet as it is designed by a guy on Reddit. The green airports are the one that I have visited. We are currently doing this leg. And after that we still have a couple to go. So it says 129 legs over here. In reality, there's a few legs you just cannot make in a Cessna 172, so I added one or two. So yeah, this is as it is happening. That is the entire route. I'm not responsible for it. I did not invent it. But that is exactly what I'm doing. And why I am going 5 times the speed currently. That is basically because nobody is going to look at either forest or sea for 5.5, 6 hours. And he says he wouldn't manage it, but I traveled around the world with smart wings. Okay. He did the New Zealand detour. Well, that's a little bit late for me. But yeah, we'll get to New Zealand eventually. I got the sheet without a New Zealand copy. By the way, if you go to my Discord and scroll up a whole heap of nonsense, you can find the original sheet to fly around the world somewhere over there. You can download it and fly it yourself as well. Now, coming back to the point where he asks, why am I 5 times faster? Well, I can put it in 100%, but that would mean you have to look at this gorgeous view for 6.5 hours. And Martin says in chat, I sent screen of my flight. Let's go. Woo! That is nice enough to show right here. So he started off either here or here, and then made a long hole all the way up there. Somewhere in Europe, can't zoom in. So hey, that is pretty brilliant. Oh, and we are making a new turn. We are at IMAS and we can see the aircraft struggling to get on course. So R control minus 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 and another minus. That puts us back on normal speed. Let's get that notice out of the way. Boom, there we are. And now it is, let's go and see, 27.7 nautical miles to the airport. And as we can still see, we are approaching that on an angle. There is no service over there, no ILS, there is basically no nothing. So when we can get it inside, which is not yet, we are going to decide from which angle we're going to approach, circle around, and then land this puppy in flight rules. The visual flight rules. Hey, woohoo! Almost got stuck there. By the way, De Martin, do you happen to speak French? The fuck happened there? Anyway, this is the route we did. First bit was fairly uneventful, second bit was fairly uneventful, and then we came to the waypoint Merde, which is French for fuck. That livened up our day. And now we're on the last bit. And the Martin went from Prague to Islamabad, Karachi, Male, Singapore, Sydney, Brisbane, Wellington, Queenstown, Hangaroa, Montego Bay, Toronto. We're going to Toronto. Then on to Moncton, Shannon, Warsaw, and back to Prague. It is a long route, sir. Yes, it is cool. And he speaks just English, Czech, and a little bit of German. Well, okay. If you were able to make out some of the French, you really want to check out the earlier waypoint. He was doing it in the holidays and had a bit of time left. Yeah, apparently. Hello. Now here in the distance we can see a body of water. We can see that on the map as well. And apparently we are landing on one of the islands. Uh-oh. Yeah. So, because it is 23.8 miles away, let's just go down in a hurry. Let's go to 4,000 and have a look about what is up over there. Get the proper angle of attack, create a plan, and then nosedive into the sea. And Martin says, yeah, he had a lot of time between July and August. Now going to fly from Kathmandu to Paro. So I'm going to get clearance. Let me know when you land, I will take a look. Well, that is going to be in 23 miles. But first we gotta lose some altitude, and I'm suspecting that the island we are looking at right here is pretty close. Now, this destination does not have ILS, does not have anything. Basically it is a slab of concrete somewhere on an island, and you're on your own. So yeah, that is the idea, and that is also why I did not set up the navs. I didn't do anything. We just flew here in a hurry, and we're making sure to land somehow, I hope. The clouds could become a problem, but not yet. Seriously, I'm hoping these are not going to be a problem. There's some mountains in the way. Out of 7,000 for 4,000. Still nobody else in the entire area. Nothing to announce to anybody. And I got this sinking feeling that won't change until we reach the both Americas. Still going down. "20 miles to the airport." We do not have a visual, but in visual flight rules that is kind of critical. Are we able to see the airport from here? Not really. Well, not really yet. $6,200 and descending. "19 miles. do we have something? Yes, we have the airport on the map. And speak of coming in on an angle, either we go left or right. Judging by the taxiways, there's not a whole lot of options. So let's veer right when we're over the water again and then come in. So we got a plan, now we gotta execute it. Feels like, yeah, we had a plan, but it got poorly executed. Let's not make this story one of those. "17 miles to go as the crow flies." We're not going to do that. I would say almost, unfortunately. So dispatch here should be dispatch, and that patch could be that one. So our airport is somewhere here. Okay folks, quick pee-pee break and then we'll be back to land this baby. We are back. At 4,000. Let's make sure the speed doesn't drop any further. And by the looks of it, we can already go down a little bit more. Let's do it. There's now mountains in the artificial horizon that will, yeah, kill us. Scuff the aircraft. So let's go down. More work for the autopilot, less work for me. I love it. "11 miles to go." I'm leaning to think our airport is on this patch of land. Now our heading bug is straight ahead, so let's take off the GPS, get to heading, and start turning that knob so we can eventually line up properly. That is gorgeous, isn't it? Now, how are we doing? We got less than a quarter of a tank available because the Cessna will cut out as soon as these indicators touch the yellow. There is no spare fuel. The rest is looking pretty okay. We are still going down to 2,500 feet. Already started in the detour. And hopefully we get to land properly. Now this ish should do for a Cessna. So let's get back to the course. We are now at 2,500 feet. Theory, we get to see the airport somewhere here very shortly, because it is only 7.5 nautical miles, 7.4 even, to get over there. Let's go down to 1,500 feet. I'm feeling confident. Are you? Speak about a blind test. What happens if you let a GPS coordinate mate with visual flight rules? Yeah, this happens. The instrument flight rules gave us a dead on direction to the airport. However, they have no facilities, no ILS, no nothing. So we are going to have to figure it out ourselves, and I'm thinking that we are doing pretty good right now. We can make us a couple turns, like you never know. How are we doing? 5 miles. Yeah, it's got to be that island. We're now at 1,500, leveling off. And let's stay there until we got a proper visual of the airport. And once we do, well, obviously the autopilot is coming off and we're hand flying this one in. Suddenly a lot more confident about the fuel capacity. I was worried earlier because obviously when I crashed because I didn't fuel up enough, yeah, we're reflying this leg. Three miles, and I do believe I see the airstrip. We cannot call this a airport yet. Now I want to wait to take off the autopilot till we get about here, so we can make the turn and fly straight in. That is roughly the idea. Because then, possibly... Oh, look at there, flashy light. Possibly we can avoid a whole lot of tragedy. So, in a minute or two we're going to make the final turn, get to Zulu Oscar, and then land. Not a lot to see out there. Well, yet. Here we go. What is appearing on the left there right now, I'm calling that an airstrip. So, boom, and the autopilot comes off. Throttle idle. Let's lose a lot of altitude because this one is virtually at 0. It does look like an isolated place. I do hope they got a nice place to stay and a whole lot of beer, because you gotta stay there for a week. The next episode is next week. Flaps max. This is a concrete. Come on now. This is a concrete runway. Basically says uncomfortable. Thank you. Look at the state of that. But we're rolling with it. I think. Oh, that was rough. Nose bounce even. Yeah, not the prettiest of landings ever. And I do see we get to turn around to find that parking space. At least they promised us a parking space. Come on now, start churning, you. Ah, not this again. Yoke unresponsive. Yoo-hoo! Normally you get to do this easily. Guess there's something in the water over here. Twice in one episode? Come on now. Let's mow the lawn. After all, we're the guests here. And let's try to find the exit to the taxiway, and let's take our time for that. Simply to prevent dumb stuff like unresponsive yoke. By the way, if you're wondering why I did not call out to anybody below, yeah, that's easy. There is nobody in the area. There's not even ATC. So there was nobody to call out to. And normally when there's somebody to call out to, well, obviously you notify either ATC or other airmen. And you let them know, hey, I'm about to crash over there, and You probably should not be in my way. Something similar. And well, those people are not there to talk to. And taxiway is coming up. There we are. And yes, I did allow the aircraft to veer off to the left a little bit. Just because the stuff is just simply not responding. Anyway, I do believe that that building on the left with the blue roof, that is the one that we're looking for. Here we go. Alright folks inside, you got 1 week to come collect your stuff. If you don't show up, it is easy, I'm going to take off with it. Anywho, parking brake is set. We have landed. And if I may add so myself, we did pretty good. So let's cut off the engine. Oh yeah. Now that is a lovely silence, isn't it? Everything has been shut off. We are at a gorgeous place. Although I am pretty worried about supplies. Okay, who can get me the heck away from this borehole? Let's make sure. I want to go get a beer. So that is going to be it for the video. That is going to be it for this week, I guess. Unless you like trucking videos, I may have to. I may be uploading a video later this week. Yeah, and that is about it for flying. So leave a comment below. Did you like it? And I'll see you next week.